Hey, Greg, speaking of dollars, we're coming up on the hour, which means we should transition to our review segment because this is going to be a fun one, baby. Because this week we're talking about none other than Alien Romulus, the newest installment in the very fabled, beloved, iconic Alien franchise.
Fabled,
Um,
controversial, interesting, diverse alien franchise.
yeah, directed by Fede Alvarez, who is an interesting director, but also has a specific, particular history with pop goes the culture because Fede did the Evil Dead 2013 reboot that you did not like. I liked a good bit, but he also did Don't Breathe, which I love. Sorry, I'm really sneezy. I might have a cold coming on.
Oh
Uh,
no.
he directed Don't Breathe, which I love, and he directed Alien Romulus, which is set between Alien and Aliens.
So the first
The
and
first
second
two
movie
movies
for
of the
those who have it, the
franchise.
first and the second movie.
Yes, which if you didn't know, those movies are like 70 years apart, despite being
Right.
uh, one and two in that franchise. Cryo sleep, time jump will do that to you. But I will say I like this movie quite a bit. I know you saw it before I did. You saw it the day before me. You messaged me, and you were kind of mixed on it. I know you said you liked the opening of it and all that, but it kind of fell off for you. I think I was a bit higher on it. I liked it a lot. I thought that visually stunning, one of the best looking movies in the franchise, probably outside of the first two. I thought the performances in it were awesome. Kaylee Spaney, who was the main character, but then David Johnson, who plays the android character in
Oh,
this
David John,
movie,
he's
is
fantastic. He's so
he
good in
is
this. Give that man an Academy Award. Good
he's
lord.
excellent. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you watch this as like a casting director, and it's not like this dude needs to lead whatever movie I'm like
Yep.
working on right now. He's excellent. And even all the side characters are great. Isabella Merced, one of the supporting characters who played freaking Dora. She's in the live action Dora movie that came out a few years ago. Is in this, is great. She has a great scream in this. I know people always talk about like the horror movie Scream. She's great in this. Uh, I did want to ask Greg. I don't know how hard this would be for you to do. I know you're going to roll your eyes when I ask you to do this, but would it be possible to put like a spoiler warning, like text on screen, just in case people drop in? Because I assume you're going to want to get into spoiler stuff. But also, this movie just came out less
Yes.
than a
Let me
week ago.
see if I can.
Um,
I can
just so
add.
people jumping in here know. But the movie financially has done super well. This made $100 million opening weekend on an $80 million budget, which is good. It's going to make a lot more money because it's going to start its second weekend tomorrow. But something really interesting about this movie, Greg, that I don't know if we've talked about is that when they announced this movie, this was supposed to be a direct to Hulu release. This was supposed to be a made for streaming movie. And then late in production, once 20th Century Studios got to see it more, they were like, this should be in theaters. They were like, we should put this in the movie theater and make money on it. Because I don't know if you remember, did you ever watch
Oh, I
Prey?
spelled it wrong. Hold on, I can do this again.
Uh-oh.
I
Did
thought
you spoilers?
I got it. I got
Did
it.
you
It's just it's hard with that font. There we go. It should be good now.
did you ever watch Prey?
Yes.
The
I
Predator movie?
enjoyed Prey. I enjoy Prey. There's
Which
times it gets a little out there, but I think it's still good.
but my point was that was like it was a made for streaming movie that went straight to Hulu. People liked it, loved it, and were like, man, this would have made a lot of money in theaters. So then 20th Century Studio, now owned and operated by Disney, was gonna do that with this movie too, Alien Romulus, and then after production, they were like, "We should put this in theaters and make money on it." So I'm sure whatever executive made that decision is probably getting a promotion because it made $100 million opening weekend, which is just crazy. Look at the disparity. I'm like, man, you probably had $100 million movie in Prey as well that you put on your streaming service. But I liked it quite a bit. I think that the movie's weakest parts are the fact that it is so reliant on the other Alien movies, and it does commit the cardinal sin of these modern revivals or sequels, where it's just they have to do the greatest hits, and they've got to reference every movie in the series, all the beloved ones.
But it
You
doesn't
get your
start
famous
that
line
way.
readings.
And that's what's
It
so
doesn't.
jarring. It's just like,
It
what?
doesn't.
Like, when does this movie become like, a checklist? Like, what
Yeah.
the hell? Like, we talk
Yeah.
about, and people have asked about that, and they Ridley Scott had that idea. I'm like, great. Interference. Because Freddie Alvarez was doing a great job. Like, he was doing new things, different things. It still had the alien feel to it. Like, it was, the first 40 minutes is some of the best filmmaking I've seen in decades. Like, I'm just like the way things are shot, the way things are spoken, the way things are set up, right? Like, it's all great. Like, you're doing all this world building in like 3 lines, which is what you're supposed to do instead of make like an hour exposition about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. Sorry,
Yeah.
continue. I just wanted to continue.
No, you're right. And I was going to segue to that next. You talk about, you love the first 40 minutes of this movie. I had a buddy who said the same thing. Obviously, the movie kind of like opens planet side. We're on this like mining colony. Kaylee Spaney is the main character. She's trying to get off this planet because it sucks, and she wants to see the sun because it's always dark here. I love when that pops up, and it's like hours of daylight a year, zero. Um, and then she pretty much finds out that like because of corporate bullshit, she has to stay there for like another several years. So she kind of gets talked into going along with this plan to get off planet and like hop in some cryo chambers and like go to the distant paradise planet they want to be on. And then obviously hilarity ensues once they get up into space. But yeah, those opening segments when they're on the planet, they're walking through the crowds, people are being shitty. She's going to the office to get information. Even when they're on the ship still docked, the whole taking off sequence of them getting on that ship and like blasting off into space was awesome. I saw that in Dolby. My goddamn chair was shaking. The way they shoot it is brilliant. The use of lighting and color in this movie is phenomenal. But yeah, the first half of this movie is just like sci-fi perfection. It
Yeah,
is
it is
stunning.
doing new
It's
things.
gorgeous
Yeah,
world
they're doing new
building. Yeah.
things. Yeah, it's the connecting dots. I love that. Like it's like, oh, we have to have a reason to get off a planet. Okay, here's a reason. Oh, here's a problem. Oh, here's another. Like it starts making sense. Like the setup. Like this is great. Like their ship's gonna crash. They're gonna have to go from one side space station to the other to get to the ship, avoiding the alien. That's fantastic. It's great. Simplistic. And then it starts getting stupid. And then you're just like, why did we need this scene? Why do we need that scene? Why do we need Ian Holmes in this movie? Which apparently was Ridley Scott's idea, which is stupid. This is gonna get so bad, Donovan. Like we're gonna see so many dead actors come back and get deep faked on movies. It's gonna be terrible. And I don't know if that
Mm.
was an impressionist or an AI copying his voice, but like it just
It was another actor doing a voice, and then they doctored it. They tweaked it up with digital AI computer shit and made it sound more like Ian Holmes.
it's
That's what
just
they
like it
did.
just I felt it wasn't
Um,
needed. You didn't need that. It could have just been any
you
actor
did.
and it would have been just as powerful. But like that, it's almost like when they do stuff like that, it's like distracting. I'm like,
It
why?
is.
Like just put anybody else in there. And then of course like
It's
the checklist
yeah.
of let me go through this before we get to this because we're gonna talk about this for a while. Like the last half of this movie, I just started to hate because it started to feel like a checklist. And when you look at the Alien quadrilogy, there's 5 movies technically, six movies. All those movies from Alien 1, Alien 2, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, Alien Covenant, and Prometheus, like they're all extraordinarily different from one another. And that's why I think why this franchise gets away with having bad movies because they're just different. Alien 3 is nothing like
Mhm.
Aliens, right? Alien Resurrection is nothing like
Yeah.
Aliens or Alien 3. They're all so different in terms of like tone,
Mhm.
visual aesthetic, writing. Dave didn't like David Finch do the third one? Like it was a David Finch movie. Like
Yeah.
they're
That was a
very
Fincher joint.
and I think that's why like even though like arguably Resurrection is bad and Alien 3 is bad, but they're different. They're so much different than Alien and Aliens, right? Even
Yeah.
Resurrection has like it's different. And then of course Prometheus and Covenant. We'll get to those in a second. So like when you start checklisting everything off and it starts to feel like a fan film and I hate that. And the second they blot in the black goo, I checked out because here's the thing about Alien Covenant and Prometheus. I don't hate those movies. I think, but those movies, they're not horror movies. They're not creature feature movies. They're philosophical movies about the
Covenant.
question, right? Like Covenant, but like
Covenant is
it's
yeah.
more of a philosophical movie about like where did we come from, the questions of the
Yeah.
universe, like human evolution. Like they're think pieces, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with think pieces, but like they're to have them bundled in the Alien franchise is like for me is ridiculous because Alien Covenant has elements of horror, sure, but it's not a horror movie, right? It's its own thing because you're exploring lore that was never meant to be explored because you've had multiple writers on the franchise and all of them wanted to go different ways. And you go back to Ridley Scott and it's I don't like those movies as alien movies. I think they're interesting science fiction movies. I think they're interesting philosophical movies, and they have you
Yeah.
create discussion, and that's perfect. But like as an alien
Right.
movie should be a creature feature first and foremost. You know, you're put in a
Yeah.
situation. We have to go somewhere and avoid the alien, right? Aliens took that till like 11, right? And I get that because it was a sci-fi kind of like horror that became horror action, and then it became went back to horror again, and then it went back to horror action. But like I really thought this movie was gonna like stay on the path of like one alien in the whole base that they have to avoid to get to their ship. And then like you said, like it starts to feel like a checklist with all like the homages and all the way the sets are lit and all the suggestive stuff and the ridiculous Act 4 that goes on forever. I was just like, because you had to have that scene because in Alien she goes into pajamas and she has to fight the alien, and when she's most vulnerable, it's symbolism. But like you're just copying at that point, you're copying someone else's homework. And I was just like, because he had done Freddy Alvarez had done such good stuff.
It's Fetty.
Fetty had done such good stuff up until that point. You know, like the face hugger stuff. That was great. Like we'd never seen a scene like that before. It was like the original scene Aliens cranked up to 11 when they have to sneak through the hallway. That's never been done before either. Like he was doing all these new things in the franchise, and I wish he would have continued to do that stuff instead of like it just. I think at a certain point someone came in, whether it was Ridley Scott or Fox or whatever, like no, we have to have these things in there. You have to have the pulse rifle. You have to have the blue light. You have to have the hive. You have to have a shootout. You know what I mean? Like, and he finds ways to try to make it work differently. Like when they're floating and she's trying to avoid the acid, that was different. That's cool. But like, it's just a checklist of like all the Alien franchises. And then like, when you think it's over and it would have been beautiful to just go in the cryo sleep and have like, 3 people survive and go off into the sunset. Nope. We have to have a weird alien resurrection Prometheus moment. And it's just like, it was just so stupid. I was like, I hated every part of that segment. I was just like, why?
It's another trope of the Alien franchise, the one more thing, where like the characters are starting to like relax and they're like, okay, we made it, and then there's like something's aboard the ship. They do that a lot. But I watched Prometheus and Covenant for the first time yesterday, and Covenant does that as well at the end, where they're like, all right, we're good, and then they're like, oh shit, wait, no, there's even more
we're
from
not
the
good.
ship.
But like, I don't know, man. I was really disappointed in it when I left because it started out so strong, and it just felt like a fan film the latter half of the movie, and I don't like that. Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. I guess for me, those things didn't bother me as much. They do bother me a little bit because I love the original stuff they do in this movie. You mentioned the facehugger scene, the scene where there's a character on the ground and the facehugger is just on their face. And it's just like, you can just see it pulsating and like their chest or their stomach, like compressing in rhythm with it. And all the characters are standing around not knowing what to do. Horrifying. That freaked me out so bad. So I'm like, what a disturbing visual, which I thought was really well done. Just the practical in general in this movie is just brilliant. The way the little facehuggers look, where they're sitting on a little shelf and they're moving their little claws like spiders.
Oh yeah, they're all practical. I love that. They were all
like
animatronic. I was so excited. Yeah, it was such a great scene.
The xenomorph itself, chest burster will never get old. All that stuff is so good. I think that the performances just blew me away. Kaylee Spaney as Rain, the main character, was great. We talked about David Johnson, who plays Andy, steals the movie. You could argue like this movie would be like 1 to 2 stars worse if he wasn't in it. That's how like good he is in this as the android Andy, who's good. He has some of the best lines in the movie. They also give him one of the worst lines because we get our callback iconic phrase.
The checkbox. Yeah. Did you see the alien save Rain, by the way? And that was the weirdest scene. I thought she's falling. The alien catches it with her tail and then like puts her back on the ladder. I'm like, what is that? Like what? Like there's no reason it would first of all, there's no reason it wouldn't just impale her. And like what that was a weird shot scene. They didn't know how to solve that. When she's falling, how did she stop falling? Turn the gravity back on, split.
It was personal.
I guess because it was the one
alien
that came
isolation
out of
xenomorphs.
It was the one that came out of the vagina with the.
God,
that's H.R. Geiger though, man. Like that's just Geiger. Yeah. Like you can't. Did you see that?
Dude, that thing popped up on my screen. I was like, all right. I was like, yep.
Vagina.
Right. Yeah. I saw it there. I was like, all right, boy, wow.
That's Geiger, man. So I watched this movie with a H.R. Geiger fan and a Mega Alien fan, and the problem with the movie is that. The H.R. Geiger fan loved that part because obviously that's Geiger, the little like whatever the little spike thing that comes out, like subliminal messaging, whatever, subliminal message or subliminal visual aesthetic. But the fact that the alien gestated in like 5 minutes, a mega fan shouldn't have to explain to me how that works because it's never been that way. In the
when she's like pregnant or whatever.
Dude, in a span of 5 minutes, a face hugger gets on her, gets off, and the alien explodes out of her chest. 5 minutes. Like,
are you talking about the Asian character earlier?
Yes, the alien fodder, the alien. There's something in the water. There's something in the water.
They always like those things always like grow or like form rapidly, you
In
know? I
five
mean, I'm sure
minutes?
and I'm sure if you like clocked it, it's different each movie. But even in like Covenant where the dude's like smoking and it goes in his nose, he's like vomiting blood like 10 minutes later in that movie, before the shit's like ripping out of his back.
That's because the black glue
Um
is like a catalyst for anything you want it to be, right? You could just, oh, the black
mm,
goo did it,
yeah.
like, you know, because we don't understand how it works. So, and that's fine because it's
Yeah, yeah.
essentially our DNA, right? They try to explain it Prometheus a little bit, but like it's our DNA. It's what
Mhm.
we evolved from. It's their technology, which is cool. Like I think that stuff is cool. I just don't
Yeah.
like it when it interferes with alien shit. Like Alien should be a creature feature
Mhm.
horror movie first and foremost. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it should never have to be explained. Like that's the problem I think with the Black Goo and Prometheus and Covenant, like because they're alien movies, like they're expanding upon lore that was never meant to be explained. You're not supposed to know where the eggs came from. That's the mystery surrounding the creature, right? When you start
Mhm.
explaining that and like making things go there, like it gets really weird, and then it contradicts stuff that like Cameron and Finch put in, and we don't talk about Alien Resurrection, right? But you know, it's I don't know. It was really disappointing because it started off really strong. I mean, but you're right though. It's some of the most beautiful filmmaking I've seen in decades.
Dude, I can't get over the lighting in this movie, and it sounds so stupid to be like the lighting is one of the best parts of it. But like, I mean, there's a shot it's from the trailer where Isabella Merced's character is walking down a hallway, and her character looks like a silhouette because she's just backlit by like the orange light coming in on her. Or the scene where they're running through a corridor, and there's like a blue light that like kind of like blankets the ground, and it like kind of illuminates all their shoes, this blue color. There's just so many shots where I'm like, God damn, that's like a wallpaper. Or where Kaylee Spade's kind of walking through with the repulsor. It's just beautifully filmed. You talk like cinematography and whatnot.
No,
It's one of the
very
best looking
real
movies.
sets. Like all
Uh,
the sets are real. Like they're
yeah,
actually in corridors and hallways. The very what's the
it's
actor who does the director does Blade Runner? I forget the
Denis Villeneuve,
yeah,
the new Blade
very
Runner.
very
Yeah,
reminiscent of that too. Very slow shots that come
yeah.
in and give you a time to
Mhm,
like admire what's on screen. It's like a an
mhm.
art that's lost in a lot of modern action movies and stuff like that because everything is cut so fast.
It's very gorgeous. Yeah, and I also want to mention from a story perspective, I do like one of the things. One of the core aspects of the Alien franchise is that the real evil is like the corporate greed
It's
and just
man.
like it's corporate greed and then mankind's just like unwillingness to like wrestle with its own mortality. And I like that this movie still keeps like Weyland Yutani like in that antagonist role. Obviously, just them. The whole reason they want to get off the planet in the first place is because the company's kind of ruining their lives, fucking them over. But then even up in space, right, where we find like that they were kind of just willing to sacrifice people to like keep this thing going, and that they just people were just disposable to them, and the whole storyline of like that's not in the best interest of the company. I thought all that stuff was cool that they had that in there because it's easy for franchises to lose stuff like that six sequels in, but I dug it. I thought that it was still good. I wish that we had gotten away from a lot of the homages and whatnot, the direct voice lines, the stuff with Ian Holmes that you just brought up, that you brought up earlier. Just it's such a mess to dive through, right? Because I've read a lot about this at this point, and he just passed away a few years ago. Maybe it was like 2020, I believe he died, and I've read reports from his estate that they're like, oh man, his widow said that he really, wanted to be a part of this franchise again, and that like, he was really sad that he kind of got like shafted by Hollywood after Alien came out, and he would have loved to have been like brought back for this movie, all that. Like the arguments for it, then against it, but it's like at the same time, you can bring back that character without digitally replicating the dude's face. In a movie that just has so many good practical effects,
Yeah.
to slap a CG deep fake on a supporting character that you put on screen like 80 times.
Yeah,
It's just
he
like
really uses a
it
lot of
just
screen time.
it just feels like such a disservice to all the other stuff, all the other practical effects. How in one movie do we have puppets where I can literally see where the little arms of the facehuggers are being lifted by somebody offset? In the same movie where we have digital Ian Holmes looking like a Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One, where he's
Yeah, it's
just
bad.
like a cartoon character speaking. Every time he opens his mouth, I'm like, ugh, what is that? It's uncanny. It's just it doesn't matter how good the CG gets. Just as a human being, you have an innate feeling when you know you're not looking at a real human being,
Yep.
that's triggered when this stuff pops up on screen. It's just like stop, stop. You could have found any 45-year-old white dude to just put in the movie on set, and it just would have been good enough. And you could have said it was that character, and nobody would have cared. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like they even did an interview with it a couple days ago. I saw that the director said it was Ridley Scott's idea. And like that's the thing with like when you get these older directors coming in, it's Ridley Scott. You're gonna say no to Ridley Scott's idea. Like I get it. There's pressure. You know what I mean? Like if Spielberg
Mhm.
said it'd be great if you did this, but are you gonna not listen to the guy? You know what I mean? Like so there's pressure there.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. Like that was really and unfortunately I think we're gonna see a lot more of that, which sucks. Because like it's just as I've
Mhm.
talked about this to other friends, but like as the kids of the of those actors that are still alive, don't want it to do it or are hard to work with, which is fine. So they're right. Like they care. As like grandkids start having kids and their great grandkids start having kids, they're gonna
I
care
said
less and
this.
less.
I said this to my home. I was like, this is gonna get really messy. Like
Yeah.
a couple more generations from now, when these people are removed from these actors and they just don't care anymore. Like right
And
now,
they
it's
just sign
like
the rights,
the
full
dude.
rights over, yeah.
Yeah, like right now, the dude died a few years ago. His wife's still alive. His kids are alive. Like we do have like a close,
Mm-hmm.
direct read on like how he felt about this. But like, what about when they all die and they're making an alien movie 40 years from now, and the people who are saying yes or no didn't know him or his kids? It'll be a much messier situation. So, yeah, that's not getting any better. That's not going
I
to get any better.
I'm so, but I think you're making me so angry, Donovan, because like I just, if they could have just stayed on the route they were going with like, oh, we have to get to the other side of the hangar and we
Yeah,
have to go through the other side of the lab. Oh my God, what's on the other side? Oh my God, it's all the combat experiments. You know what I mean? Now we like,
right.
they could have been so different. Like every other alien movie has been. But like even like at a certain point the lighting's great, and at a certain point like you're copying other people's lighting from other movies. Like like they did the stupid barrier in Aliens from the you know what I mean, like the blue light thing, and they
Mhm.
specifically call back to it, which was obnoxious. I don't know. It was on such a good track, and then like it derailed, and I just clocked out. Like I was like, oh look, an engineer alien baby. That's great. Like I'm like, this is stupid. And
Mhm.
my friend, who's like the biggest alien fan in the world, is like, oh my god, this is the best movie ever. It's like he reads the
Mhm.
novels, he plays the RPG, like,
Mhm.
but he had to
Yeah.
explain so much to me after this movie, and I was like, yeah, man, it should just be, we have to get on the ship to get out of here. They even had the timer. They all the good things about horror, right? Everything like oh my god, well no problem. We have 42 hours. Oh my god, we got shift. We only have 40 minutes. Like this is great. Like I'm loving all this setup. It's perfect. And then it
Mhm.
just like takes a sharp left, and I'm like, where was the movie I was watching 20 minutes ago? Can we go back to that? Like, please.
Yeah. I think something that's interesting here is that another angle to this whole ordeal to kind of zoom out. We mentioned this movie made $100 million opening weekend. Can make a whole lot more this weekend and the weekends to come. It's going to be a very profitable movie in a long-running franchise. All signs are pointing to there will probably be another movie. This movie will probably get a sequel, to which I can only hope is that like they kind of take a sequel and decide to get away from things. I think that's another thing we've seen, a pattern we've seen commonly now with these reboots, Greg, is that like the reboot or the revival movie, the reintroduction, that'll be your cameo fest, reference fest, checklist movie, and then they'll usually zag in the sequel. And it's had good and bad ramifications, right? The most famous example I think is probably Last Jedi, right? Where Force Awakens comes out and everyone's like, "Oh, it's New Hope again. It's too like samey Star Wars. We've seen this before." And then Last Jedi comes out as a sequel to that movie. It's like, "All right, Star Wars is back, and now we're gonna do something totally different," and it just goes off in another direction. You either like it or you hate it. Not the conversation here.
Right.
Jurassic World did the same thing, where Jurassic World comes out and there's a lot of just Jurassic Park, but 2015 in that movie makes a lot of money, and then Fallen Kingdom is like a bit of a zag, where now 80% of the movie takes place in a mansion at an auction, and it's like this weird story. My only hope would be that Romulus, it's your checklist alien movie. Hey guys, what do you love about Alien? Get away from her, you bitch. Blah blah blah. All these, this is a checklist,
I like the
and then
elevator scene. Okay,
maybe
elevator scene. We'll get that
yeah,
in there. What else do you
and
like?
then maybe maybe in a potential Romulus sequel, we could get something that feels a bit more fresh and new. I would love to see more of Kaylee Spaney's character. I think she's probably the most I've liked the protagonist in these movies. Probably in any of them, I guess, since Ripley Alien has not had good protagonists since Sigourney Weaver. So she's probably up there for me. I'd like to see her character come back more. So if they announced a sequel, I would look forward to it. I'd be excited to see what they would do if they would kind of get out of that mold and try something fresh with it. But yeah, Alien is just a deeply fascinating franchise,
It
man.
is.
It's
No, it,
just
it is. It has a
so
long,
interesting.
convoluted history of like movies that are different.
Hmm.
But that's the thing. Each director has. That's the thing, right? Like each director has kind of stamped some type of lore to the franchise. Added, like Obviously, Ridley Scott started it. James Cameron introduced like the hive mind concept of a queen, right? He introduced that. The third movie introduced the fact that like based on what genetics you have, an alien can be different. Like all aliens are different, whether they gestated animals or people. Like they look different, right? So they all kind of did their own thing. And this thing started to do that, but I don't know. Like I can't pinpoint what is it? Freedy? I'm gonna say it wrong, right? I'm gonna say it.
Betty.
But I can't pinpoint what he did that was like different in terms of like what his stamp on the lore was. You know what I mean? I guess the engineer alien baby, but that's not a good stamp. You know what I mean? That's not like that's not something you want to stamp on the the thing. And it ended the same way as the first Alien movie and the fourth Alien movie. You blew it out of an airlock. Like that was how you killed it. You know, I don't know. I wish it was more focused on the alien and less about the black goo and the engineers and all that weird. Like it's weird stuff. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I don't think it belongs in the Alien franchise. Like it's a separate entity that you can look at and discuss, right? The mystery of where it came from should always be shrouded. That's the whole point, right? 1, 2, and 3, they're trying to figure out what the hell this is. You know what I mean?
Even that went out the window with the prequels, though. Prometheus and Covenant are all deep in those weeds.
Oh, they go really deep. They go so deep in those weeds. Just like I don't even think Ridley Scott knew what he was doing. They just like, whatever. Yeah, it's whatever. The cat's the black goo is the Force. Whenever there's something that unexplainable happens that you can't explain, black goo. Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, I want to see more of it. I hope that if they do another one, like maybe we can have more of that. We just need to get from point A to B, like in avoiding the alien or without doing it, because like it is a perfect setup. The whole thing, you're in space. Space is terrifying. There's no oxygen. There's vacuums. You can't shoot the damn thing because it goes through the hull. You know what I mean? So like you have to be like super careful, and it creates a sense of dread, right? Like you're not at any. You're never safe, right? You're never ever safe. Yeah. So and like and I didn't think it was that scary. I thought it was entertaining, but not. I wouldn't call it scary.
Too. Yeah,
I didn't jump at all.
Someone said that the CG face was the scariest part of the movie. One of my friends said.
That's messed up.
Yeah, they had a couple good moments. There are a couple good set pieces, scary wise, in this for me. But no, it's not the scariest Alien movie. Definitely not by.
And that's okay. I mean, like as stuff gets, stuff like. 3, I mean, our 3 is an arguably scary movie. I think 3 is the scariest out of all the movies, honestly. The third one, which is arguably like the worst in the franchise, I guess. I don't know. Resurrection's pretty messy. Resurrection again, like all you needed there, you didn't need like the Sigourney Weaver tie-in part. You just needed them from to get to one side of the station to the other, right? It's a tower movie. Like I think that's where you excel the most in Alien, when you have to go from one point to another, and live, right? And then maybe stop for like a breath. But I don't know. And like there was the actor who was pregnant, like she didn't really do anything but serve as a catalyst for the black goo, for the alien baby. Like, I don't know. She like, you could take her out. If you don't have an act 4 and you take her out, there's really no need for her to be in there. She's a catalyst for the black goo. That's all she is. Which is unfortunate.
I think she's playing, that's going to be Hawk Girl in DC. The DC universe. That actress Isabella Merced.
She's in the movie, so she's in the little there was a moment where people laughed in the theater in this movie, which I thought was funny. There's a scene after the alien gives birth through the vagina, right? And then she's like getting away from it, and then like it's like a wide shot, close up shot of her, but then like it pans focus to the vent, and there's 2 bodies being like dragged through a vent. It's just the way they lie, the way they get pulled, like it's practical, so it looks like it just looked funny. I just thought it was yoink. Well, back to harvesting my bodies. Nothing left here for me.
Yeah.
I like the guy in Shadow and Bone though. That guy was in Shadow and Bone. If you saw that Netflix series, I'm glad he's doing stuff.
I don't. I'm assuming you're talking about like the bully dude, the annoying guy.
I mean, you got to be more specific, man. They're all from Space England, so I need to know. There's something in the water. What? What did he just say?
Hey, yeah. No, I don't know what you're talking about, but the castle's all good. I thought they were all good.
Oh, you need to see it, man. It's Avatar. It's Avatar: Last Airbender. Yes, like Avatar. Go watch it. It's Avatar. They all have
now that has a live action show.
I know, and you were indifferent about it, right? You like didn't hate it, you were like very or did you hate it? I can't remember.
I thought it wasn't very good.
Okay, well
But
then watch Shadow and Bone
yeah.
because they have bending in that, and they have a chosen one, and it's really good. Yep, they have firebenders, airbenders, earthbenders, shadowbenders,
Well,
lightbenders, healers.
water.
Yes, well,
Hmm.
yeah, water. Yeah, they have water benders. They have healer benders. They call them menders. But
Menders.
like, yeah,
That's
so they
funny.
have people who heal. They're healers. People who can
Hmm.
yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. What There's a really good twist in one of the things too when you find out you think someone's really good at something and they're like, oh, it's because they were cheating. I see.
Hmm.
Hiding the fact that
Okay.
they're a bender. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. It's cool. It's a cool show. You
Yeah.
should watch. You definitely give it a shot. It's on Netflix. If you like Avatar, you'll like it because I was just like, wow, this was. It's based on a book, but I'm pretty sure the book probably came out before Avatar. But I'm just like, if it came out before Avatar, they definitely read this book and they were inspired by it because there's so many similarities between the two shows
Hmm.
about
Yeah.
like
It'll join my.
a chosen one. Yeah, like every so
Mhm.
often there's a bloodline that comes out and there's going to be a light bender and the light bender's super rare and can like kill all the other benders, so you have to, yeah, super cool
I'll
stuff.
add it to my list. My very, very long, long list. Um, well, Greg, I think we can kind of put a button on Alien Romulus here. I did mention I watched Prometheus and Covenant yesterday. I'm not going to
Oh,
do full
what
reviews
did
for
you
them because I
think? What
just
did you
talked
think
about
of them?
them. But I thought they were both good. I give them both 3.5 out of 5 stars. I thought they're both like 7 out of 10 movies. They're decent. I like them for different ways. I like the I like all of the like philosophy of Prometheus. I
Yes,
thought was actually very
yeah,
interesting. It was very well done. And then Covenant is more like classic people running from xenomorphs goodness. I thought the set pieces with all the xenomorphs are really good. Like the xenomorphs are really fucking wrathful in that movie. And I thought it was quite exciting to watch. Also, Michael Fassbender is phenomenal in both of those movies, playing the androids. He is insanely good. Yeah, he is
so
doing like 4 layers of acting in those movies.
so
It's
you
pretty
you
crazy.
did enjoy it. Yeah, they start conversation, I think, is what's interesting. You know what I mean? Like even if you take out the fact that they take place in the alien movies, look at them as their own thing, like they're still
Mm,
unique movies about the answers to the galaxy and how like another civilization's technology, how it might look and how foreign it is to us. Like that's the whole concept, right? Like they can
yeah.
take this black goo and do all this stuff with it, and then like all we're doing is just murdering ourselves with it because we don't know what the hell we're doing.
Yeah.
I liked that concept. You know, I like the concept
Mm,
that like the aliens aren't subtitled, the engineers aren't subtitled. You have no idea what they're saying. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it creates this like gap of like how scary it is to meet another alien race, and not
Hmm.
know anything. Like if they're being hostile or if they're dangerous or how their technology works. I think it's really cool because their technology is wonky, so wonky.
Yeah.
Like you have to plug yourself like into machines, and like it's really like biologically engrossed for H.R. Geiger, right? So,
Yeah.
but like yeah, that's cool though. That's cool stuff. And ours is very like mechanical and like rugged because we're so new. And like
Hmm.
spoilers,
Yeah.
minor spoilers if you haven't seen from me. It's like we are basically a failed experiment. That's one of the takes
Yeah.
is that we're a failed evolutionary experiment. So
Hmm.
yeah, so interesting. In the
Yeah.
for the
Very.
perfect life form, they failed. They tried to make the perfect life form.
Yeah, it's good. There are a couple of moments from it that stick out to me. I think it's in Prometheus where they have the line that's like they're talking about the disease that's the pathogen that they
Yeah,
find that's like giving everybody sick and killing them, and they're just like it was designed to kill mammals. It was designed for mammals, which is what we are. We're just mammals like any like dog or cow, which I thought was a cool kind of just perspective moment for those characters. Also, the opening to Covenant where David the android's talking to Peter Whalen, the creator of him, and he's just like he asks him, he's like, if you made me, who made you? And then the dude's just like visibly uncomfortable with that question, just like not having the answers. Then he's like, we're gonna find that out together. I thought it was all quite good. It's fun. It's good like deep
it's
sci-fi
sci-fi. Yeah, it's
space,
like true to
kind of
form
stuff.
sci-fi, like bipolar opposite of Star Wars,
Hmm.
right? It's like super serious, weird, like very
Hmm.
mechanical sci-fi, right? And that's kind of rare nowadays. So usually people want the bombastic sci-fi. That's that's fun, right? Mass Effect sci-fi. Don't ask me
Yeah.
questions, just show me adventure. Yeah, that's okay
Hmm.
sometimes, just not all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I've always argued that Star Wars is fantasy. It's not sci-fi.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
fun.
fantasy.
It's
Just
fun.
happen. They just do it in space.